So in a world of many live actions being created, 2 are coming out that I'm very interested in. One Piece and Avatar: The Last Airbender, 2 of my all-time favorite series, are getting live actions. The One Piece live action is probably going to be getting trailer drops fairly soon. Avatar, who knows, really, we haven't gotten a lot of information on the series yet, but these are 2 things that I'm actually really interested in because they're based off of some of my favorite stories of all time. So I want to talk about it because I have varying thoughts. But first of all, I ran a poll asking y'all what you think, if you're excited about it, if you have a lot of hope for these adaptations, or if you have no hope whatsoever, there is only despair. And unfortunately, 52% of people that voted from my channel said there is no hope, only despair. Which, I mean, honestly, fair. We've had enough adaptations, live action adaptations off of incredible series that have just been unfortunate. But I want to talk about these 2 specifically, what we know about them and how I feel about them, the positives and the negatives, and kind of where I land with it all. Now, there's the obvious discussion point of many live action adaptations already failing us. One of which is already on the table for Avatar that failed us. So there's that obvious discussion point that this doesn't have a strong history. Not to say that no adaptation has ever worked, but we've been burned a few times. But every piece of production is its own thing and can bring its own merit. So I'm not going to fixate too much on that. The main thing that has me concerned is simply that animation in its own right holds so much individual, unique value that cannot be recreated in another format. Both One Piece and Avatar: The Last Airbender have a lot of humor wrapped up in them, a lot of silly, zany faces, a lot of absurdist, goofy humor that simply can't be done one-to-one in a live action. Not that I expect either of these to be one-to-one or even want them to be, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later in the video, but both of these series have humor that works in an animated format that would not work in live action. Both of these series also have a specific magic system that lend themselves very, very well to the formats that they were originally created for. It's kind of a toss-up on how something is going to look until you actually see it. Sometimes CGI, magic, and action scenes and things that are going to be needed for these series, sometimes they look amazing and sometimes they look really, really cheap. And for me, I think one of the biggest challenges for this sort of thing is that animation on its own is a really valuable art form to convey those over-the-top gags and to convey those incredibly emotional moments, to handle all the magic and the fast-moving moments perfectly well. And while animation will age, and you can see that, it still retains all of its value even with that aging. Whereas CGI, it'll date itself much, much faster. And I think part of the problem with most adaptations where they go from an animated format to a live action format is that they try to shoot it one-to-one. They try to make it a replica instead of being its own thing. And the truth is that live action and animated things are their own separate art forms. And so trying to take something that is its own thing and that is incredibly successful in its own thing and say, oh, I'll just elevate it by doing the exact same thing just with actors instead of physical actors, instead of voice actors, that's just not gonna work. I know with adaptations, there are so many people that look for a one-to-one adaptation. They want everything down to the sandals that the lead character is wearing to be exactly the same or else it's wrong. But I think that it will be destined to fail if it attempts to do that. Because it is a different art form. It has to make changes. From the way the humor is portrayed to the action, probably the pacing, even some of the ordering of things will have to change. Now, with One Piece, from the set design photos and videos that we've seen, it looks like it's gonna be really top quality. I mean, it's looking strong. And we can only base so much off of that kind of stuff because the way the characters are portrayed and the way they nail themes is incredibly important. And the fact that Oda is a huge part of the One Piece live action production is very, very promising. In fact, we actually have a quote saying that Oda at one point said, no, that's not what that scene is about. this is what it's about, which is also very promising because I'm fine with changes. In fact, I encourage changes to be made when we're completely transitioning out of the core format into something new. Changes have to be made in order for it not to look gimmicky and cheesy. So the fact that Oda is focused on what was the intention behind the scene? What was I trying to communicate? What is the core of what this series or this scene or this arc is about? And that's the priority, has me feeling very strong about it. And then there's Avatar, where the showrunners, DiMartino and Konietzko, walked off set. They were supposed to be directors and they said, no, we're not going to do that anymore. Which doesn't have me all doom and gloom, but it isn't promising. They said that they were supposed to be essential contributors to the story. They didn't feel like they were being heard, and so they decided to not be associated with this project anymore. Now, that does not sound good. It's definitely less promising than the situation we have with Oda's involvement. Now, people who originally created a show or a series and they want to see it be brought to life in a different way, it's possible that they're holding on a little bit too tight, and the things that the directors decide to change to make it work for this format, it's possible that they are not being as flexible as they could be. I'm not trying to talk down about them. I have a lot of respect for these creators. But I imagine forfeiting some of your creative decisions to someone else who also has their own creative decisions could be difficult. And so I'm not throwing the whole series out because they walked off set. It doesn't look good, but I'm not completely against it because of this factor, because a lot of things could have contributed to this, and it doesn't necessarily mean we're doomed. We also have hardly any set or design, or really we just have casting at this point for Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I have very little to go off of having hope for it. So my expectations are significantly lower for that particular adaptation. Still gonna watch it, still gonna hope for the best. But things have to change in order for the adaptation to work. It's a completely different medium, and it's not gonna work to be a one-for-one, shot-for-shot replica. Just the fact that they're not gonna be able to execute a cartoonish humor in a live action thing without coming off cheesy and cringy, just that alone means that there's gonna be a tonal change for these two very lighthearted yet serious series. So I want them to do that. I want them to change things to fit this new format instead of thinking I can take something and elevate it just by making it live action. That doesn't work. And the truth is, there are so many people in the world that don't consider animation to be a valuable art form and that kind of write it off as childish and kiddish just because of the nature of what it is. So I do really like the idea of a live action potentially bringing in new fans, getting them invested in the story itself, and then giving the original art form a chance and falling in love with it there and kind of opening their eyes to, actually, this can convey everything that I want out of a series, and potentially open the door to other amazing series getting more spotlight and attention like they deserve. I will say, now that DiMartino and Konietzko have walked off the set of the Avatar live action, and they've opened up Avatar Studios, and they're releasing movies and they're releasing a TV series all in the original animated form, and that they have complete control over, I'm way more excited for all those projects than I am for this live action remake of something that's already been done at a 10 out of 10 level. Like, I'm way more excited for the new content. Like I've always said, I think that an adaptation of something where you take the core material and create a new story is far more appealing than taking a story that's already been done at a 10 and saying, oh, let me try and make it again. Let me do that again in a different format. It will definitely not be a 10. I do prefer a new story. So the fact that we're getting new stories with Avatar Studios instead of just a remake of a story that's already perfect in my eyes is far more appealing. So I'm definitely more excited, way, way, way more excited for all that we're getting in that category than I am for this live action. That may be great, may be horrible. Which actually kind of brings me to my next point, which is any of this necessary? And I would say no. Not at all. Obviously, having a live action, as I already mentioned, is going to potentially bring in a new audience, bring more attention to these series that are already well known and well loved. But hey, let's have some more people in the community. Let's have more people appreciating these incredible series. And it will potentially open people's eyes to the value of animated art in general if they decide to check out the source material. All that is awesome. Love all that. But do we need a remake in a different format of a series that is already excellent? No, I don't think so. Especially not with the One Piece one, which is the one that I'm more excited about, by the way. Definitely not necessary. That series isn't even over yet. Why do we need to remake the same story again in a different format? Is it needed? No. Am I excited for it? Yes. I love these stories. Getting more content of these stories is a net positive for me as a fan. Sure, it's awesome that more people are going to be brought into the community. It's awesome that these series are going to get more love and praise. It's awesome that these creators are going to get more attention. I love that for everybody involved, especially me, because I get more content of my favorite thing. I love community. That's why I started this channel, because I love talking to people about the things that I love. I love finding my people that I connect with on this very personal hobby. I love being able to make friends through this sort of thing. Like, I love community. I love talking about my favorite things and hearing back from other people and hearing their opinions on my favorite things and my least favorite things. I also like yelling about stuff I don't like. I love community around my favorite hobbies and my favorite stories. And all these series are going to do for me on a personal level is more community. Whether it's a joke and we all just kind of laugh at how absurdly awful it is, Avatar movie, I'm looking at you. Or if it's amazing and it has some things that we can critique and we could say, that was kind of a miss, but overall it brought the story to life in a new way. I hope that they bring the story to life in a different way. They breathe life into a story that's already living and that's already thriving, but it shows us it from a new angle, from a different way of being able to experience the story that I love. I really hope that that's what these series accomplish. If they don't, then they'll give me something to laugh at with my friends, and that's cool too. I don't tend to watch very many shows and movies. It's just not my preferred format, and in fact, one of my favorite standalones of all time just got adapted to a movie. I still haven't watched it. I probably won't. I don't have a lot of interest in it. This just isn't my format. But these two series are my series, and I want to watch them. I'll stop watching them if I stop enjoying them. It doesn't affect my life that much. But if they are awesome, it will affect my life in a very positive way, and I'm super excited about that. I hope that both of these series are able to capture the heart and the spirit of what these series already are. I hope these series are able to just help us to see the story from a new lens, from a new angle, just in a different way, honoring what this story has always been to the best of their ability. I don't think either live action is capable of being better than the original, but I hope they do a good job of giving us a new way to experience it. That'd be super cool. Giving the communities a new thing to gush over. That'd be awesome. Again, I'm a lot more hopeful about One Piece because I've seen a lot more from the One Piece live action. The Avatar live action has still been very quiet, but I still have loads of content coming from Avatar Studios in the animated format. So even if this live action is a complete bust, it doesn't matter. I'm still getting more Avatar content and I'm still getting more Avatar community time. So it's a win. It's a win for me. Anyway, bringing it back to the title of the video, seems to be very mixed reactions for these series, whether there's hope or no hope whatsoever. The majority, at least for people who voted in my poll, said no hope whatsoever. I don't feel that way. I actually feel a lot of hope. Don't expect it to ever match the incredible quality of these two stories that I love so much. But it doesn't have to one-up the original. I just hope that it gives us something more to talk about, something more to gush over, more to be excited about. And if it's not, we can all laugh together and that'll be fine too. I'm excited to see what they change. I'm excited to see what they do the same. I'm excited to see how they manage to take the core of what these series are and do it in a different way. But as one of my commenters said when I asked for feedback on how y'all are feeling about all this, even if they're both a complete bust, I still have the originals. they're not going anywhere. I can still rewatch and reread as much as I want to. But I would love to continue to hear from you. What do you think? How much hope do you have? What are the things that make you excited? What are the things that make you nervous? Are you gonna watch them? I am very, very excited and anxiously awaiting the trailers to drop for each, as well as all the stuff coming from Avatar Studios. I've got so many amazing things coming for these series that I love so much, and I'm very excited. Anyway, what do you think? Please let me know in the comments. I post videos every Monday and Friday on this channel, Tuesdays and Thursdays on the second channel. I'll see you again soon. Bye.